Hello guys, good morning. So we will just wait for a few more minutes so that everyone can join. Okay. Hello everyone. I guess my voice is audible to you and my video is visible. Please let me confirm in the chat section. Okay, Tharan. Thank you so much. Yeah. So guys, this is Saturday morning. I guess everyone is be attentive in this session. So meanwhile, let's connect and let me know like from which city you are. You can write down on the chat section. So first of all, Q&A section, you have to, if you have any type of questions, you can ask there. Our mentor will gonna answer that question. If you want to acknowledge anything, if you want to say anything, you can write down on the chat section. Okay, Tarun, you are from, okay, Saran, Hyderabad. Yes, Gaurav, Chandru, Madhumitha, reply on the chat like from which city you are. We will just wait for 2 to 3 more minutes. Jyoti Morgan. Okay. Raj have questions or what is the topic of the webinar? So Raj, the topic of the webinar is how to master JavaScript to unlock a successful web development career. I guess you know what is web development, and in web development you have to learn JavaScript. So we will going to learn about why JavaScript is so much important to be a web developer. So everyone, I'm telling you again, you have Q&A portal over there. You can ask any of the questions you want to. Our mentors will gonna answer your questions. And in the chat section, you can acknowledge to mentor. You can say anything to mentor or me. And you have a hand raise option also. So if you have any sort of doubt, you can just hand raise. And we will surely gonna answer your question, whatever it is. Raj, today's session is absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything. Okay, Biraka, you have a zero knowledge, no worries. Just wait in the session. You will going to learn about everything from the basic level, from the scratch level. I guess many of you have already been joined, so just wait for 1 more minute so that if anyone left, they can join. So still, you can tell me, guys, like what you exactly do, like okay, Prem, please you teach us in English. Okay, Prem, we will surely gonna teach you in English. Okay. So guys, I think everyone have joined, so we can start our session. So first of all, I want to, like introduce you all about Unikaksha. What is Unikaksha? So we are an online upskillment platform that helps students and working professionals upskill themselves in their tech career with the help of our top mentors and an industry relevant curriculum. So far, we have had a positive impact in the careers of 10,000 plus students. And today with this Guru class, we hope to help you in the same manner. So today's topic is, as you can see on the screen also. So let me introduce and welcome. Are you ready to embark on an existing journey into the world of web development? Are you eager to unlock the secrets of mastering JavaScript? Well, you have come to the right place. I am thrilled to invite you to our engaging and knowledge packaged webinar, How to Master JavaScript to Unlock a Successful Web Development Career. This session will help you understand the importance of JavaScript and help you plan an effective roadmap for successful web development career. So keep engaging and ask questions wherever necessary, okay? Not only this, we will also share the certificate of this Guru class with all the attendees. So we would like everyone to share it on LinkedIn by tagging Unikaksha, #Unikaksha, #full stack development, #coding, #learning, #monstack. We will also going to love if you do that on Instagram also. By sharing your certificate, you will demonstrate your commitment to continuous learning and professional growth, while also positioning yourself as a standout candidate in the eyes of potential employers and industry peers. So I hope everyone will do the same. It's for your own benefit. So today's session is taken by Karan. He is a full stack trainer at Unikaksha. Currently, he's training 300 plus students in developing essential skills like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React.js, and MySQL. Helping them to become a confident web developer in future, he has 3+ years of experience in web development. And in this session, he will cover one of the most important topic of web development, which is JavaScript. So pay attention and keep taking notes, everyone. So over to you, Karan. You can now take the session.
Thank you, Manan. A very warm welcome to everyone. So, and also a very good morning to you as well. Okay. If you have any issues with my audio, or if you can't hear me properly, or if you can't see the screen, you can post those issues on the chat box. And if you have any doubts also in between, you can post them as well. All right. So yeah, so today's session is about how to master JavaScript, but also we are going to see what is web development and some of the technologies that is involved in web development, and how JavaScript stands out, from all of them, like how JavaScript is the most important of all, and what are the different categories and different things that you can learn in JavaScript. Okay, all right. So first of all, we need to know what JavaScript is. JavaScript, which is often abbreviated for JS, is a normal programming language. It is an object-oriented programming language. It is one of the most core and also one of the most basic programming languages that we use in web development. Web development has different fields and different categories, but mainly JavaScript stands out as the most important programming language, often performing calculations in real time and maintaining or even manipulating multimedia and also data. Okay, so more than 98 to 98% of website is developed using JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript influence user behavior, user experience, and also it influences the way the data interacts with the user. So beside all these things, JavaScript also is often responsible for the communication part as well. Communication part in the sense how a data is being transferred from one end to another end. So that is JavaScript work too. So this is JavaScript, and this is why JavaScript is being used. As I said earlier, JavaScript is an object-oriented programming language. We'll get to what object-oriented programming language is, but JavaScript, as the name suggests, it's a scripting language that is compiled and run through interpreters. So yeah, so before we move forward, like let us learn what are the different layers and different sections of a web application. The often we see only one layer of a website, which is the presentation layer, or any web application that you might use has only the presentation layer and the business layer shown to you. So what is presentation layer? Presentation layer is your UI and your UX elements, such as your buttons, text, images, your vectors. So these are what we call as the presentation layer elements. So these are UI elements and UX elements, user interface elements and user experience elements. So they define how a web page interacts with an user, and that is how user gets to enter their own data or manipulate the existing data through those UI elements. Okay, then we have business layer and persistence layer. So that is where we perform our calculations. So basically filtering out data and also showing the existing data, or what sort of data that the user is requesting. So the request is created and also the request is responded through the business layer. Okay, so the user creates the request and also gets the response of the request through the business layer, whereas persistence layers and the database layer, they process the request and they send the response back. So for example, in a student management system, suppose the student is requesting to log into the application, or he or she is trying to log into an application. Okay, so there you have your presentation layer that presents you with all the data or all the elements that you need to log in. So it contains the input box for your email and your password. It has also a submit button. Now what happens is that as soon as you click the submit button, the business layer gets triggered. So what happens is that the data that you have entered and submitted now gets into the business layer, which then creates a request. Okay, it analyzes the data, and depending upon the page that you are on and depending upon the stage of login process that you are on, it creates a request accordingly. So for example, if you are a student and you are trying to log in, it identifies you as a student and creates a request to the database and also the persistence layer, which is nothing but our backend. It creates a request which sends a message that this person with this email ID and this password is trying to access the application from this place. If you have IP tracking or location tracking, it also gets shared. So it also sends the time as well. So these are all get tagged in the request, and the request is being sent now to the persistence layer. Now the persistence layer takes note of it. It processes the email information. So it checks whether it is a valid email or not. So if it is a valid email, which means if the email exists in the database, it process the information. So it checks for the password. If the password is correct, email is correct. If the for any reason, if you have any location, restriction, it also checks the location and also the time if you have any time restrictions. So it calculates everything and then sends the response back to business layer. Now the business layer analyzes the message that is sent by the persistence layer. Basically, it analyzes the the string or any paragraph or any data that the persistence layer might send, and it organizes them. It creates a perfect layout, and it sends all the data back to presentation layer where it will be displayed to the user. Whether an alert box saying that the user is now successfully logged in, and it will show the home page, or it will say that their email is wrong or password is wrong. So in our case, in our example, so this is how a website works, and these are some of the layers that we have. Okay, so this is one example as well, where you get to enter all the search queries that you the search queries into the Google input box. Then it gets processed in the backend in the server. Then the server responds with the list of information or list of websites that is related to that query. For example, here it is HTML. So the HTML is processed, the word HTML is processed in the backend, and it sends a list of answers to the our business layer. Now our business layer arranges them, orders them, and in a list of items with paragraphs, icons, images. Okay, that is what the business layer do. All right. So yeah, so this is how a request is being created and the request is being responded. So you can think of website as not unlike an endpoint connection, like end-to-end connection. So from one point to one endpoint to another endpoint, it is not works like that. It's not a point-to-point connection. There are several steps that it needs to be, several calculations needs to be performed, several checks needs to be performed. There are so many things to consider here. So these are all done in the behind the presentation layer. So first, the user gets into the website, they create a HTTP request. HTTP request in the sense they are asking to connect to a website. So first it's sent through internet. So first your computer uploads all this information and put it in your Wi-Fi box, okay, with all the IP address that you need. Then your Wi-Fi modem or router sends the request to one of your internet service provider server. So your internet service provider has a server, right? So that server now perform some analysis, like whether this is a valid request or not, whether this website exists or not, which IP address are they looking for, whether the IP address is available right now, and where it is available, what's the quickest connection that it can make. So it process all this information and send the information back to the front end, where you get the website displayed for you. Okay, so that is how a web works. That is how everything in our internet works. Okay, that is how a modern internet system works. Okay, now this is not always been the case. So the website, the working principle of internet, not always been like this. It is very different in the past. It has been very different in the past. And one of those examples are one of those things that should be discussed here is the versions of web. So we call it as Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. I know Web 3 is one of the most popular things right now, or it used to be 6 months back. But anyway, so we have Web 1 and Web 2. First, let us discuss about Web 1. As the name suggests, Web 1 is the first version or refers to the original version of the internet. Okay, that is like started with those are big dish antennas, and also your dial-up connections, local area networks. So these are all products, and these are all ways of communication during the Web 1 days. Okay, in the Web 1 era, I should say. It's a prolonged 20 to 25 years of existence. Like Web 1 had 20 to 25 years of existence. Okay. So in those 25 to 30 years, like if you count all the, pre-internet era also, there used to be web, by the way, before internet as well. So I will discuss about that. So in those 30 years, it is evolved into much more, it had much more smaller evolutions also. It is not as if we had web 1 and we directly jump into web 2. No, we had some iterations in the web 1 itself. But on the most basic level, web 1 refers to the version of internet that is put out by the American Defense Department. Okay. So during the Cold War era, or like economic war between America and Soviet Russia, the web won. So web really is means it is like a spider web. Imagine a spider web, right? So a spider doesn't, live in a single place. It moves around through the day. But as it moves around, it weaves a web around it. So what it is doing is basically connecting different nodes, or in this spider's case, it is connecting different sticks or different things or different objects through its web. Okay, much like that, a computer network or web as we know it is a connection, okay, made in between multiple computers, one or two or more computers, okay, in an organized and choreographed manner. Like a web connection is choreographed, which means it is already, the pathways are already laid. Okay. So there are different kinds of networks, even network designs as well, how you design the web. So if you, so for example, one of the most common ways of designing the web or computer network is placing a central system, central control node that controls all the other computers. So for example, if you have 100 systems, a single system is responsible for connecting A and B, as in or A and C. Okay, that is central node connectivity. Then we have something called as, then we have the then we have a network system with every computer is connecting to everything else. There is no central system making the connection. Set a computer A or a set A can connect to set B without any central interference. So that is web 1 really. So web 1 is all about, this is one of the examples of a web 1 website where you have no functionalities, right? You have different layouts, you have colors. That is not much of imagery or video going on. Even if there is imagery and video, they are not of high resolution. You just have text and then you have colors. Okay, you had a different layouts and all those things. But even then, even in the front end or in the presentation layer, we didn't have any layering as such, which means one element is not appearing through another element. There is not that feeling of 3D world, or there is only a single dimension, okay, which is two dimensions actually, which is length and height. So web 1 was really about like reading things, and then that's it. You get to read whatever others posted, right? You cannot change the content in the website, which means you cannot perform calculations on the website itself. A website will contain some information and you get to work on. Now, some of the most essential web 1 sites include static pages, which means, as I said, non-interactable, non-changeable, which means they cannot change their UI based upon screen size or something. Nowadays, we can view the same website on your computer differently, on your mobile differently, on your tablets differently. In those days, that is not where the case. Like, it doesn't matter whether your computer was 15-inch wide or 20-inch wide, the web page is the same. The dimension doesn't change. That is one of one of drawbacks of Web 1. Then all the contents are stored in the server. So there is no content being served on your computer itself. For example, if you keep accessing a single web page or a single web application, you ideally want some of the information stored in your computer so that you can easily access it. And even without internet, you can access some of the system, right? That wasn't the case with Web 1. And everything has to go through a common gateway. There was a central computer governing the entire internet that was, incidentally controlled by some agencies, and it has some, rules and regulations how a computer should connect, how long a connection should last. So these are some of the restrictions of Web 1. So one of the most profitable businesses ever to be, born, or one of the most popular websites ever, MySpace and also LiveJournal. They are one of the most visible and one of the most high-end applications, or high-end been in technical ways, in a high-end manner. They acted in a high-end manner because MySpace and LiveJournal that doesn't just allow you to read and doesn't just allow you to access. They allowed you to insert information as well. So you can add your own information into MySpace. So you can have your own web page and you can have your own private space in the internet. So those were the first stages of business opportunities being shown upon the internet. Then we have LiveJournal. LiveJournal, it did the same, but the difference is that it allowed you to market yourself. Like, instead of just people searching you through some search engine or searching you through your following you through your link, LiveJournal allowed you to send emails, bulk emails to so many people that you are visible, and you are visible throughout a broader spectrum of audience, and also a much more like, in terms of how you can describe it as like a live conversation. So through live journals, the people who are hosting the journal can get feedbacks from those who are reading. So that is how it went. So those are some of the examples of Web 1. So then we have Web 2. So all the web applications and websites that occurred after Web 1 are referred to as Web 2. Okay, you can like generalize them after the 2006 .com bubble. Okay, basically Web 2 bring about the end-to-end user connectivity. So without any central interference, without any central connectivity, you can communicate between two ends of a network. Okay, it brought about the hybrid network. So we call it as hybrid network, where you have a central system that controls how users interact, and also it allows the users to act as their own servers and their own clients. Okay, so this is one of those examples and one of those advantages of Web 2. So we are in the current Web 2 era. We are still in the Web 2 era. Okay, now Web 2 brought about the biggest change, okay, in web development, or indeed application development for that matter. Web 2 brought about what we call as client-side computing. Client-side computing, in the sense, it not only allowed the developers to, which was already there by the way. So it not only allowed the developers to perform certain calculations on the server, it also allowed the users to perform calculations in the client side as well, like in your own browser or in your own application. Okay, now one of those examples, or one of those innovations that help us brought here is JavaScript. Okay, So JavaScript is the client-side program, which means it doesn't naturally run on server. Okay, so JavaScript is a Web 2 product. JavaScript existed even before Web 2, but JavaScript really thrives in Web 2. The reason being, Web 2 allows the developers to perform certain calculations on the server itself. So you can see where this is going. So we have HTML and we have CSS. Then we have JavaScript. So your HTML and CSS is responsible for your presentation layer, whereas JavaScript is your business layer. As we discussed earlier, the Web 2 performs certain calculations on the server side. Those may be validating your email or checking whether you have a certain number of characters in a password, or whether you are using the correct computer, or whether you are using the correct version of an application. Okay, these calculations can be done in JavaScript, and you can push incremental updates through JavaScript. So since JavaScript is running on the client side, you can perform like you can give update for version 1. You can push certain updates to version 1, and you can push certain updates to version 2. Then you can push certain updates to version 3. Then you can perform the same with different categories. So depending upon the user who is logging in, you can restrict some of the access to the website. For example, if you want to host let's just say both admin and student in a same domain. Okay, you cannot do that in Web 1. Web 1 doesn't allow you to give the same access, or doesn't allow you to access the same web page. You must have different web pages for admin, and you must have different web pages for student. But whereas in JavaScript, you can manipulate how the UI works. So you can have a single web page where you can control what an admin sees and what a student sees. So for example, an admin can see the students' unreleased marks if the date is still not whitelisted. For example, in a school, if you have 3 days of gap between the test when the student appears for the test and the results being delivered to the student, you can now control that the results are now only shown for those 3 buffer days, or those 3 days where the students is not supposed to see that. You can now control that if only the user who was logged in is a student, the details are being shown to them. Okay, if the admin is logged in, they can now manipulate the data. In order to being seeing the data, they can change the data. So those are some of the examples. All right. All right, let us see why JavaScript is used. Using JavaScript, you can develop web pages. Okay, and also you can edit the existing web pages. Okay, so if you have a web page, now you can change how it behaves in a mobile or in a desktop, depending upon the user type, depending upon the device type, depending upon the location, time, date. You can change everything. You can change how the UI looks, how the UI behaves. Okay, and also you can control much more than that. You can perform actual calculations, such as let's just say if a student is accessing a web page and they want to know all the marks from all their 5 different subjects. Now normally what you would do, you would send a request to the database asking for all the 5 subjects of that particular student, and you will display the data. Now if the student wants to see the total marks, Instead of sending the request to the database, which takes time, right? So you have to create a request, then this you need to connect to the server, then the server performs some calculations, then the server responds to your request, then you have to parse that request, which means you have to format that request, and then you have to perform, you have to create a layout, and then you have to display it. So it's a lengthy process. Instead of doing all these things, now using JavaScript, if you have 5 different values using simple addition and division, right? You can add 5 different marks and then add it and show it as a total. Show it as a total value to the user in your computer itself. JavaScript runs on your computer itself. Even if you are using a browser such as Chrome or something, JavaScript run on browsers. Okay, so this allows JavaScript to, this allows your web applications to be much more agile and much more faster. Okay, so one such example is we saw about cross-platform operation and object-oriented operations, right? One such role that JavaScript plays upon is multimedia and animation. So previously, if you want to show something, or if you want to give some you want to show some images, or if you want to show some videos to one user, you just display it. In web 1, that is the option that you had. Without JavaScript or without any kind of operations being performed, the user can just see it. They cannot pause the video, they cannot skip ahead, they cannot reduce the size of the video, like how it appears, whether it should be in full screen or it should be in off screen. You cannot control that in web 1. Whereas in JavaScript, you can control whether, which means you can pause the video, you can skip ahead, move forward, you can go backwards as well, and also you can animate different elements as well. So in an web page, you have so many different if you have so many different buttons, you can animate each and every single thing. Okay, that is what JavaScript does. So it allows us to control how UI interaction happens and when it happens. All right, so this is one of the most common examples, or one of the most powerful things that JavaScript can do, which is changing existing data. So we have a HTML document here. So we have a paragraph saying that JavaScript can change HTML data. That's it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a button. So that is what I'm doing. I'm creating a button, and whenever the user clicks, this is what we call as JavaScript events. Okay, if you click a button, that is an event. If you hover over a button, that is an event. If you open a new tab or open a new window, that is an event. So every single thing that user does in a website is referred to as events in JavaScript. Okay, just remember that. Now, if the user clicks this button called click me, what I'm doing is I'm performing some operation here using JavaScript, which is I am changing the content. I'm changing the content of the ID, which means I'm changing the content of this paragraph tag ID, which has the ID of demo. Okay, I'm changing the actual data in it. So this is one of the most simpler examples of JavaScript. Okay, where I'm changing the actual content based on an user input. So for example, if you have a system where you have to show tabular data, where you have to show a table full of data, such as, let's take the student example as well. So if you are a teacher and if you want to view all the, by default you will view all the students details. But what if you want to filter certain data? Now you can do it using JavaScript. In web 1 you cannot do it. You have to submit a form, you have to create a request, the data has to be processed in the backend, then a new table and a new page has to be created by the backend, and then the data is being shown to you. But whereas here in the Web 2, in JavaScript, we simply have a button with filter on it. Okay. Now we have a function or we have a class in JavaScript that can perform certain calculation. Basically, it will we can filter out all the students who has marks lower than 35. Okay, and then we can show only those data, or we can choose not to show only those data. Okay, so or we can highlight those data. So we can do so many calculations. It opens up the vast world of dynamic program for us. Okay, so this is a working example of it. This is the working example output. So this is how, this is the default content in the web page. So JavaScript can change HTML content. Okay, once I press this button, it changes into hello JavaScript. Okay, this is the output of this code. All right. Now, so that was one kind of output, but that is not the only kind of output that we can do with JavaScript. There are 3 different ways that we can output in JavaScript. One is this alert box. Second is this console.log. So let me show you something. If you right click on your computer and go to inspect, okay, this box will open. This is what we call as a console. Okay, now in this console, it's showing some errors, right? So exactly. So this is what we can do using this console. We can create we can show errors, and we can also warn the user. Obviously, these are warnings, so we don't want user to see this, right? Like, it is not something that is very critical, but through this console, we can now show the user that these are some of the errors in your computer. These are some of the things that is not supported in your browser. So these things are hidden from you. Okay. So here, if you can see, this particular application is showing me that there are some issues with my UI, and that there are some functions are not available right now. Okay. So this is what a console can do. Then this document.get element, which we saw earlier, which changes the website front end itself, right? So we saw that. So that is the outputs in JavaScript. Now, likewise, in any other programming language like C or Java or Python, we have variables, we have operators, we have functions, we have if conditions, else conditions, we have switch cases, we have for loops, while loops, do while loops. We also have recursive functions. Then we have classes, objects, inheritance, constructors, destructors. So these are some of the things that are available in JavaScript. So what I'm doing basically here is I'm creating a variable. Now, you might have a doubt, right? If JavaScript doesn't access, or if JavaScript works on client side only, if it is works on browsers only, why does it how can the data be stored? Because we saw that when a data is stored or when data is changed, it has to be done through server, right? No, not as if that is the only case though. We can perform calculations and we can save data and retrieve data real time, okay, through our browser. Our browser has its own memory, right? So it is saving into the RAM. Browser is running through our computer system, right? So we can access some of our data and we can store some of those things as variables or arrays or strings in JavaScript as well, like with any other programming language. So these are some of the most important features in JavaScript. So these are event handling, as I told you earlier. Anything that user does in a web page is called as event. So pressing a button, hovering over something, submitting a form, all right, clicking play or pausing a video, everything is a event. And then it is very lightweight, which means it can run on your browsers and also it can run on it doesn't have to have so much storage. It runs very light and it runs very fast as well. The reason being it runs through interpreters, which means if you make some changes in the code, it will reflect straight away. Okay, you don't have to save, compile, and then run. That is how you normally do C program or something, right? But as same as how you do Python programming, where you basically type your code and the output directly appears. So that is what you can do with interpreter. All right. So then we have the most important thing and the most advanced concept ever in JavaScript, which is framework. Now, in your C program or your C++ or your Java, you have these packages, right, that you can install, right? For example, in C, I can think of stdio.h, which is standard input output header file. In you have in Java, you have util, right? Import util. Util means util is a package where you can import scanner variables. You can also import scanner class. You can also import mathematical classes as well. Same as in JavaScript, we have different frameworks. Okay, so frameworks are nothing but libraries. Okay, where a predefined code or predefined methods or predefined classes has been saved, and you can access it for your own purpose. Okay, one of those examples are one of the most common things, common frameworks in JavaScript is Angular. So Angular works with CSS and HTML. So Angular is developed solely for web development and web development only. Then we also have two other most common frameworks in JavaScript, which is React.js and Node.js. Now, React.js is developed as a front-end application. So React is created as a JavaScript library to run both web applications and also mobile applications. So it can run on natively on mobile, like it can run on your Android and can run on your iOS and on your Linux distro. So React is developed as a front-end framework, whereas Node JavaScript or Node.js is developed to work on as a server. So we were discussing one of the drawbacks, right, of JavaScript, which it can only run on our browser. But Facebook, which is now it is called as Meta, has created a library that allows users to create and run servers using JavaScript. Now, what this means is basically you can create both front end and back end using a single programming language, which is JavaScript. And that brings me on to the conclusion of this session, which is JavaScript is the most important programming language, and it is one of the most popular programming languages for web development and for application development, because you can do styling, you can change content, and also you can access the databases and servers, create and maintain web packages using a single script, which means using a single programming language and using a single programming language syntax, you can run all the parts of a web application. Okay, all right. That's it, guys. That's it from me. If you have any doubts, you can reach out in the Q&A.
So everyone, we are just launching 2 polls, okay, so that we can see like how much you have attended in the class, how much knowledge you have gained in the class. Okay, so the poll 1 is, what are the 3 different versions of the www? If you think the option is A, select A. If you think the option is B, select B. You will have 10 to 15 seconds for this question. Take your time, think hard, and answer the question. So guys, 5 more seconds will be given. Okay, so let's end this poll, guys. So yes, around 80% students have answered A, and that is correct. And still 20% have selected wrong answer. No worries, let's do one more poll. Okay. So what are the list of client-side programming languages? Select any of the option which you think is correct, and we will give 10 seconds for this poll. Five more seconds, guys. Think hard. Okay, so let's end this poll also. So let's see, around 75% have answered B, and that is correct. And still 25% have not answered it. So no worries, guys. So let me introduce you again about Unikaksha. Okay, so Unikaksha is an online educational platform which provides different courses in different programs. Okay, like pay after placement, like your upfront, like your autonomy, synergy, edge, and all. Okay, so we have proper mentors who have a working experience of more than 3 to 5 years, 5+ years, and have helped more than around 5,000 students to get placed in IT company as they're desirable. So after this, I just want to know, like, from you guys, like, if you want to have a one-on-one counseling session with our counselor who have helped many students to get a good job in IT, like me, like other one also, I am launching a poll which says, are you interested? If you want to have a one-on-one free counseling session, just select yes. And if you don't want to have, then select no. I guess yes will be a right answer for you, because I guess every one of you wants to go in IT, right? And this is, I can say, you will be a good decision by you, because our counselor are really highly skilled people who will going to help you to get a best job in IT right now. So we will wait for 10 seconds for this poll. If you want to have one-on-one counseling session, select yes. Guys, 5 more seconds for this poll. Jyoti, Madhumitha, Jay Anand, Chandru, everyone. So, okay, let's end this poll, okay? Okay, guys. So I guess everyone has selected yes for this. So meanwhile, if you guys have any sort of doubts, you can just write down your doubts in chat section or in the Q&A portal. Okay. So our mentor Karan will surely gonna resolve your doubts. Okay. So let's see who have some doubts. You also can raise your hands, guys. We will surely gonna acknowledge that. I guess no one have any sort of doubts. Chandru, Madhumitha, Manoj, Vasant, Jyoti, Sudarshan, Piraka, Atul. No questions? I guess Piraka said once, like, can you speak in Telugu? Piraka, do you have any questions? Okay, Jyoti, no, sir. Piraka, sir, only one request, Telugu language. Okay, Piraka, if you have any questions, you can ask. We will surely, if we can answer in Telugu, we will surely gonna answer that question in Telugu. I guess no one have any sort of questions. Nothing, sir. Okay. So guys, after this like Guru class, you all going to have a certificate. Okay. So we will love to see that if you share that certificate on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook by tagging Unikaksha, by using the hashtags like Unikaksha, hashtag full stack development, hashtag web development, hashtag monstack. Okay. And you also can follow us on LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Instagram, so to get latest updates on IT, latest updates on webinar, Guru class, and everything. Okay, so thank you so much, Karan, for this wonderful session. Okay, and I guess every student have learned everything that you have taught. Biraka, like tomorrow class also same time. No, Biraka, like we gives sessions every Saturday. If you want to know more about our courses, know more about our programs, I guess you have selected yes in the one-on-one counseling session form. Our counselor will surely gonna connect with you and will gonna tell you if you want a session on a daily basis. We will surely gonna tell you about everything. Okay, we have different programs like a 4 months, 5 months learning program of full stack development, which provides a job guarantee also, 100% job guarantee with 100% internship guarantee also. And in that you will going to learn everything from the basic to the dynamic level with 14 plus projects. Yes guys, you also can make your projects, like you can make your website like Netflix, you can make your website like Amazon and all. Okay, our mentors will gonna help you to make that. So if you really want to know about that, our counselor will surely gonna connect with you. Is Unikaksha is your own website? Yes, Vasant, like I am just an counselor, senior counselor over here. Unikaksha is handled and owned by Abhay. He is the CEO of Unikaksha. So guys, still I'm giving 1 more minute. If you have any questions, you can ask. I guess Madhu, Mitha, you already have been reached to Unikaksha before. I guess we also had a word before. So guys, I can see that like no one have any sort of doubts. So should we end this Guru class, guys? You can say yes or no on the chat section. Viraka, Sidra, okay, yes. Okay, guys, so let's end this session. Thank you so much, Karan, for this wonderful session. And thank you everyone to attend this Guru class today. And Biraka, you're surely gonna get your certificate on your email. Keep checking that. Okay, Sidra, welcome. So guys, let's end this session. Thank you so much. You can also attend the next Guru class on next Saturday. Okay, it's absolutely free. And if you want to have more updates, keep follow us on Instagram, keep follow us on LinkedIn. You will going to have every update over there. Okay, guys, thank you so much. So we can end this session. Thank you, guys.